to Radical Cram School. We're going to learn about social justice, revolution, and how to be powerful in the bodies that you have.
Stephanie Picconi with that report, but let's turn now to the push to rename Father's Day Special Persons Day so children without a dad aren't offended. A growing number of politically correct schools and kindies are embracing the name change, but they're copping a lot of criticism for it. Now, earlier I spoke with Dr. Red Ruby Scarlett, a university academic and convener of the Social Justice in Early Childhood activist group. Well, Red, firstly, thank you very much for your time. Look, what is the argument for having Special Persons Day rather than Father's Day?
Thank you for having me as well. If we think about children's rights and how they get to participate in a community and feel a sense of belonging, sometimes shifting the language around those emotive and important days can be significant and more inclusive than the current way that we describe them.
So is it essentially, though, for children who don't have a dad for whatever reason?
Yes, but also there are children who have a dad who also have a grandfather and also have an auntie and also have other kinds of relatives. There are also a huge range of different family structures. So we have single-parent families, satellite families, extended families, lesbian and gay families.
Your activist group is Social Justice.
We're going to learn about social justice, revolution, and how to be powerful in the bodies that you have.
In early childhood, why is social justice important for little kids?
There's a lot of Australian research that has actually informed a lot of international research, teacher research, for example, that has demonstrated children's capacity to be really inclusive once they know about these ideas and they think, wow, why are people seeing this as a controversy? Why are we calling this political correctness when in fact it's about our rights?
Oh, my young comrades. Hi! I'm going to show a picture. This is my way of figuring out if you've been tainted by the patriarchy.
I've got a little towel that I'm going to use.
Oh! Woman beater.
About something that's just happened that's made me feel really uncomfortable.
Are you alright?
No, I'm not. It wasn't play fighting.
Show me here what he did. Oh! No!
Yes! Yes!
Don't just do it. You don't do that.
This is why women don't say anything, because it's like turned around.
I know what you're doing to me.
He's lying. He's lying.
Don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry,
He's
don't
lying.
cry.
He's trying to manipulate them in thinking that I'm making this up. I'm not making it up. And he's tarnishing my reputation by saying this isn't that. Watching it feels like a completely different scenario to how it felt at the time.
It seemed like it was blown out of all proportion in your mind.
Yeah.
How can you get something so wrong in your head?
How it felt when he did it, it hurt. I can't prove a feeling. No one can. And the more I thought about it, it became heightened, and I just felt, I convinced myself he meant to do that. And when I watched it back, the first thing I did when I got out was watch that. And immediately I realised...
But surely watching something doesn't change the way something felt. So then why suddenly do you have a different perspective on it?
Because,
if it helped, if it hurt the same way,
hurt.
I'm not doubting that it hurt. As you say, only you know that. But if it hurt, it will always hurt. So why did watching something change it? Because surely it's the same incident.
Before the fight, I often think about things like Theresa May closing women's refuges, or I think about the man that catcalled me on the street.
There's just like this thing about white people that just makes me be like...
My name is Phoebe Patey-Ferguson, and I founded FemFeral. FemFeral is a queer femme fighting force. We want to destroy the Conservative government, we want to bring down the patriarchy, we want to take up space, we want to make lots of noise. We're really angry about the way that women and kind of femme-identifying people were being treated, having nowhere to put that anger. We fight each other as a mode of resistance to try and channel our energies and our rage.
People know you for He for She,
Yes.
the United Nations solidarity movement bringing men into feminism.
What I would really love to focus on is there's a lot of missing data in that we have about women and girls, and there's a lot of these gaps that I'd love to try and fill and get some more information on, because when you can show the data on something, it makes something visible, and you know it's very difficult to treat a problem that you just don't have.
What do you think is like the primary blind spot that guys have about this movement, about feminism, about doing the right thing? Just what is it that we're not seeing?
I think the word is really difficult because it seems to inherently suggest a preferential treatment of the feminine over the masculine because it has the feminine in the word, and I think that's a real oversight and a misunderstanding.
It is Hello Kitty. What is she missing?
Where's her mouth? No,
Her mouth. Why doesn't she have a mouth?
The people who created her didn't want Asian girls to speak up about who they are. Yeah, to speak up about who they were.
There it was. There I was thinking it was just me that had a problem, but it turns out it's the air conditioning that's sexist.
I know. So many women in our office have the exact same problem. You know, we just sit there absolutely freezing at our desks trying to type. You can probably tell I've got a cold right now, which I blame all on the AC. And so it's just so actually quite nice to see this research. It's just such a relief to know that there's actually proof that this is happening, that women, you know, do feel the cold more than men, and that the AC in offices is normally regulated more for a male's temperature than a woman's.
And it's an explanation for these constant battles you'll see in offices right across the country between the sexes for control of that office thermostat.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, one of the biggest problems is that often in offices, it is men who control temperatures. You know, that's just something I've found anecdotally. And because majority of the men in offices seem to be absolutely fine with the temperatures, you know, women kind of just sit there on the corner feeling absolutely frozen. And, you know, often, like, actually nothing's being done to help them. And, you know, it might sound like a bit of a silly, light-hearted issue, but actually it's really uncomfortable being freezing at your desk every day. Take it from me. You know, we joke at work that we actually can't dress fashionably anymore for summer because you actually just can't go in sandals. You can't go in a summer dress because you're going to have to put on the jumper or the emergency cardigan. So yeah, it is quite frustrating, especially when you then go out on your lunch break or your commute home and you're absolutely boiling outside. And I think there is a bit of a problem when it's warmer outside than it is inside your office. You know, I think it is just essentially common sense. So if, you know, an office is noticing that a number of women are complaining about the cold, they need to be more flexible. You know, they need to actually kind of lower it and not just say, but oh, the men are fine. You know, now there is actually proof that this is actually an issue. I think they need to kind of take women's considerations into account, and you know what, maybe there can be more flexibility with men not having to wear suits in some offices and they can come in
naked for large and occasionally insultingly modest sums of money. Yes, you can be a stripper and a feminist. The misconception is that we're not people and that we're sad all the time, and I think that that's a really simplistic, reductive way of shaming women for using their bodies to make a living. We're not shaming athletes for using their bodies to make a living. We're not shaming like hard laborers for using their bodies to make a living. And stripping is hard labor, so that's what we're doing. My mission is to humanize sex work. I've been stripping for, I guess, 5 years before I started comedy. Stripping influences comedy and comedy influences stripping. And I shove my righteous feminism down their throat when they're still laughing, and then eventually they kind of like digest it, and it's awesome.
It's Donald Duck.
What do we know about him? What do we know about him?
He's bad. Unfortunately, the president. I want to fire him. I want to build a wall.
How do we feel about this wall?
It is blocking opportunity for people that don't live in America to come here for a better opportunity.
And we all came at some point from some other place.
My dad came here and my mom came here too.
They came here from where?
Cambodia.
Oh, wow. What do you think they think that they came from all the way to Cambodia and this is what they get to look at on the TV screen all the time?